Let me make this clear. Kofi is a great commerce platform. I'm not making this video to prevent any of you from opening a Kofi shop, but I've gotten some questions as to why I'm leaving Kofi, and with this video I hope you're able to understand why and see if it's a right fit for you and your content. And I'm just gonna have a little speed paint as part of my weekly illustration challenge going on in the background, so you guys have something nice to look at. Let's just jump into it. So if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Shay. I started my journey to become a full-time artist in 2023, and along with that came building different income streams like this YouTube channel, and including opening my first online shop in May of 2023 on a platform called Kofi. I chose to open my shop on Kofi because it was extremely beginner friendly. I was super overwhelmed by bigger shop platforms, seller things. The numbers scared me. I specifically went to Kofi because it was intended for small order volumes and kind of like casual membership offerings. It's built in with simple monetization features and perfect for experimenting with monetizing your content online for like the first time, which I think it's its greatest feature, but it's also its greatest fault, as I discuss later in this video. So its interface and home dashboard was really easy to understand for a beginner shop owner, as well as its ability to offer membership tiers, take donations and commissions all in the same place. It was really great, and I thought it was a perfect fit. And it only took 5% of your revenue. I was looking at places like Etsy and Shopify and all that sort of stuff, and they seem to take a lot more of your revenue. And as someone who is starting out at like a smaller audience size and didn't think I would be making enough revenue, and I didn't want a third party taking a good chunk of my revenue, I thought Kofi would be great. And if you bought Kofi Gold, they would take like 0% of your revenue, which I did because I ended up making about $1,000 a month in revenue on Kofi. So it was definitely worth the price. Like, I think Kofi Gold at the time was like $70 for the whole year. So that's, what is that? Math, 12, I think that's like $6 a month, which is really great. So like just a flat fee of like $6 a month instead of like 5% of whatever you made on Kofi, that seemed like a great business move. But before I start pointing out my issues, I still think it's an amazing option for beginner shop owners and creatives starting out, and if you just want to like have something simple to sell your products. When I started using the platform, I sold mainly stickers, but also experimented with some prints and digital brushes. It was so fulfilling to be able to send my products out to people and see stickers on sketchbooks or water bottles, and getting story mentions of people receiving their orders like across the globe. And it made me so happy, and it still does. And I really look forward to doing that again. And I even ended up becoming a Kofi ambassador, which led to them sponsoring a video of mine and just having a really great connection and like community with other Kofi creators. And it was just generally a great experience working with the Kofi team, and it was really clear that they really wanted to help budding creatives trying to build an income for their projects and passions. As my Instagram and channel grew, how horrible, I know, that demand for my products scaled linearly, meaning that I had more potential customers and therefore more orders on a regular basis. And this also meant that my membership tiers grew as well, and one of them was a monthly sticker club that grew to like over 100 members. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I think that's when the quote-unquote burden of success started to settle in. And I think the burden of success concept at first glance sounds kind of stupid, like, oh no, I'm too successful and I'm doing too well. It's just so hard being this successful, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that sounds annoying when you would give anything to be in that position. Like when I was first starting out, I was just like, that sounds amazing. Like, you're making so much money, you're getting all these orders, social media is doing really well. That sounds like the dream. But I think it goes a bit deeper than just the finances and the popularity. So I think when it's just you responsible for all of these orders and the management of all your social media and wanting to make sure everything gets shipped out perfectly to truly show your appreciation for your customers and them spending their hard-earned money to support you and your art, especially in this economy, like that's amazing, and you want to respect that and do your very best to be accommodating to everyone and everything. At the same time of all this shop management, you're trying to create new designs that people would like to prolong the success, as well as writing scripts, filming videos, and trying to maintain a consistent presence online to continue to grow your audience, emailing and networking to get those coveted brand deals while still trying to figure out if the algorithm hates you or not. And on top of all of that, trying to maintain a monthly member obligation, which includes like early access to projects, behind the scenes, and like exclusive monthly products, which in my case was like a monthly sticker thing. And then after that, somehow trying to fit your art practice into that. So yeah, it gets a little crazy if you're trying to do all this by yourself. And I do want to quickly disclaim that it comes with immense privilege that I get to do this full time and had the time and space to grow my accounts and get to the place where I am relatively quickly. And I just want to add that with any dream job comes with its vices, especially being an artist full time, but it's still like a dream job. Like this isn't what everyone gets to do or what everyone has like the access to doing. So I want to acknowledge that first and make that clear. I still enjoy doing all of this. It just gets a little stressful at some point. So with feeling overwhelmed and kind of just building increased anxiety and stress with like packing orders and shipping them out, I began to look more and more into optimizing my workflow and organization with Kofi to try and somehow make things easier and more sustainable for myself. But more and more, I found the features of the platform lacking. I know that running an online shop by yourself and like your own business is a huge time commitment anyways. I'm not saying that it's going to completely run on autopilot, and getting big order volumes will always take time to fulfill on any platform you choose to work with. But it felt like the way Kofi was set up was definitely working against me, and I couldn't figure out a way to make it work for the size that I was at with my audience base. So now I'm just going to go into like my main points as to why I left. So I also want to mention that since I was an ambassador at the time, I was able to give a lot of feedback about these issues one-on-one to the Kofi team before I resigned from my position. And after a couple of months, I'm happy to say that some great changes have been made. So I'll be cutting in with edits from time to time to give you those updates and how the platform looks now compared to when I was using it. One of my biggest issues with Kofi is the order fulfillment dashboard and process. The super simple and straightforward dashboard that was so helpful to me as a beginner became a disadvantage to my fulfillment process and organization. Like I said, since my audience had grown to a larger scale, which converted into more customers, I found that the Kofi system is much more suited for smaller order numbers and management. I exported a lot of my customer order information into Excel spreadsheets, which was really useful to stay organized and keep track of fulfillment and like check stuff off. But I really found the in-platform tools to be lacking at the scale that I work at. Due to a more recent update, I think for my last shop launch, which was back in October. So this is when I was packing orders sometime in November. So marking orders as shipped had become such a longer process where I had to go into each individual order link, which takes you to a completely separate page, and confirm that it's shipped instead of the original mark as shipped button being on the outside of the order tab, which kind of streamlined everything so much. They have fixed this part of the shipping process. You can now mark an order as shipped on the outside of an order tab and also include a tracking number if you want. You still have to do this for each individual order, but this definitely saves a ton of time instead of what I had to do when you had to go into each individual order and mark it as shipped in a separate window. That was crazy. So it made it so much more time consuming. I know it's a little thing, but these little things add up once you have 200 orders and you have to do that for every single order. So my other issue with this whole order management system, it's harder to get a bigger picture on orders because of the fact that you have to scroll through so many order tabs instead of a more traditional order fulfillment dashboard like in other platforms, where things are more compact and easier to search through and often contain a lot of important summary information, number of new orders, number of orders fulfilled, not fulfilled, number of orders complete, all that important information to make sure that you're not missing any orders. I've utilized the sort functions through Kofi to kind of sift through my shop orders and my member orders, but it still feels like there's a bit of customizability lacking in that area. I have both physical and digital products, so it's really useful to be able to sort between physical order transactions versus digital order transactions. and also going into more of the actual shop setup, the option to remove physical shop items would have been really helpful instead of having to go into each of my items individually and move it to my drafts so that digital products could still remain on my shop while I gave myself a break from physical order fulfillment. I feel like a lot of these are a bunch of like small things that you don't really notice when you have a couple orders coming in like a week. But when it's like at like a higher degree, it just all compounds on itself and it becomes like super stressful to manage. And like I was saying, for actual shop item setup, more with the actual shop item setup, I can't list more than one shipping option for a location. So if I wanted to offer both untracked and tracked shipping for the United States, I wouldn't be able to do that. I know some customers don't mind paying more for shipping so that they can track their order. And I also know that some customers prefer cheaper options. So I only ended up being able to offer the cheapest option so that it was accessible to everyone. So this definitely is another small nitpick, but it's really important to me to improve my shipping conditions and shipping options for my customers. And speaking of shipping, this is one of the biggest like issues I have with Kofi, and that is the lack of like a Google autofill or correction for addresses. So many of my past orders have either gotten lost or sent back to me just because of like a single number error. And with the amount of orders I receive, that like percentage of mistakes kind of just like builds, and it takes a lot of time to go through the process of correcting the addresses, repacking the order, and shipping it again. I would end up feeling really embarrassed and frustrated with myself by this whenever a customer would reach out to me when they didn't receive their order and I had to like go through the correction process. Thankfully, I have the best customer and audience base ever, and no one has ever been mean or rude if something got lost or if there were mistakes. But so many simple mistakes could have been easily fixed through like a Google autofill system or like a built-in correction for addresses, like what other platforms have, like Squarespace. But like I mentioned before, I also used Kofi to offer memberships, and I definitely found a lot of success with offering memberships, and it was a great experience. But ultimately, I felt limited by how membership content is organized and set up on the platform. The blog posts are separate from my gallery, which often leads to members missing out on some information and updates from my blog post. Where in blog posts, there's a lot bigger of a text limit, and then image posts don't have as large of a character limit, so I'd end up using blog posts to like put a bunch of like writing and information because I can't fit it into an image post. So I was having an issue there. And then I can tag my post, but I can't tag my images, and there's no way to sort through those tabs or label content for easier navigation through my membership content. I tried to use the album feature in my tiers, but it doesn't allow me to add previously posted content. A better setup for this, I think, is to have a whole separate membership content section on your Ko-fi site that will keep all the posts and information for members organized and have the ability to sort through and add older posts to different sections. I'm interested in posting more tutorial content for my members, and I didn't do it on Ko-fi because I didn't want them to have to scroll through hundreds of posts to get to something from months ago. I feel like with Patreon, it's definitely easier to like sort through posts that are labeled tutorials and get that information that way. I am moving to Patreon due to its better sorting and tagging feature, as well as like overall post organization. For physical rewards for my sticker club tier, there was no option to only allow domestic orders. I really wanted this option because of like shipping prices, and there was no way to prevent international orders from signing up, and with the size of how I was working, it would be impossible to keep track of and refund them every time an international member would sign up, and I wouldn't be able to send them their sticker because shipping is more expensive. My last grievance with Ko-fi is that as I was planning to close my memberships at the end of the year, there was no way to do like a mass cancellation of charging my members. I was only able to stop offering memberships and close my tiers on my Ko-fi dashboard. I wasn't able to actually stop the transactions from happening through Ko-fi, which was very alarming at that point. And I was just like, how do I cancel these membership orders? I don't want people to be canceled for something that they don't want anymore, or that I'm just not posting any more content and they're being like charged. That wasn't sitting right with me, and I felt really bad. So with a bit of investigating and sifting through my payment processor for Kofi, which was Stripe, I eventually found the only way to cancel reoccurring payments was going through my Stripe account and individually scheduling for each membership to be canceled, so that they are not charged while I move platforms, which doesn't sound like too much of an issue if maybe you had like 10 or 15 members. But when you have over 150 active members at the time and going through that whole list, it's just like, dude, there has to be an easier way of doing this. So I had to do this option where it ended up being like I had to select the member, and then it led me to a separate page, and then I had to individually schedule the membership to be canceled by a certain time period. It took a bit of time. It definitely didn't take like forever to do. It took like maybe like a whole afternoon to like do this whole thing, but it was just like so frustrating because I'm like, there has to be another way to do this. I'm happy to say that they fixed this part as well. This was such a headache and it stressed me out so much, but you can now go to like your individual member tab for your members and cancel memberships right through Kofi instead of going through your payment processor. You still have to individually cancel memberships one by one, which if you had over 100 members like I did, it would still take some time, but it's so helpful that they have that option listed and made it clear in the membership FAQ. I remember like scouring the membership FAQ for days trying to find information on how to officially cancel monthly charges, and there wasn't anything about it last year. So I'm happy that they made that update for current users. I really want to say thank you to everyone who was a Kofi member of mine and was super patient and understanding of this change and process. You guys were the best throughout it, and I really appreciate your support as I was trying to figure things out. It was stressful for me, but I'm really thankful to have such a supportive audience to help me get through these times and make the transition to Patreon a little bit easier. So after realizing all of these aspects that were leading to more frustration, I decided to leave Kofi and resign from my ambassadorship with the platform. Overall, I still think Kofi is great for anyone wanting to try out running an online shop or offering memberships as a beginner. It's extremely accessible and easy to understand, and it takes such a small cut compared to other platforms, which is perfect if you're just starting out and wanting to give monetizing your content like a try this year. And based on all the updates I shared through this video, it seems like the Kofi team was really responsive to the feedback I shared with them, and they always seem to be improving and updating the platform. I think this is a mark of a platform truly trying to grow and be the best for its users, which I really respect. And maybe it gives you some encouragement if you have your own issues with the platform to submit your issues to, I think they have like a submission board of some sort. I remember submitting a couple things, but yeah, they seem really responsive to constructive feedback. Shop listings and memberships are super easy to set up, and the editing functions are pretty straightforward, and it's definitely less of a commitment than having like a full separate online shop. So TLDR, I think Kofi is intended for smaller creators and order quantities. If you plan on making your shop and memberships a sustainable, serious income stream for your art business, like something that you plan on building and maintaining for years to come, then I don't recommend using Kofi. It just becomes a little more difficult to handle and organize everything with exclusive content I want to provide with the size of my audience. A lot of these things seem like nitpicks, like I could work around them, but these things just like build on top of each other so much once you have so many people, and it's just extremely frustrating. And when you see that other platforms have tools to kind of like manage this and make it automated for you, it's just like I just have to move. And I do still plan on using it to collect donations and hopefully offer commissions this year, but I will be moving my membership offerings to Patreon and building my own shop with Squarespace. But yeah, that's why I left Kofi. I hope this has helped you or gave you a bit of direction with where you want to host your shop and memberships. Let me know down below your experience with Kofi or where you plan on hosting your shop. And yeah, so we can kind of build a like resource of knowledge down in the comments for anyone starting out or people looking to switch things up. So if you like the art in this video and other art related content, you can like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I post a lot of my art process thoughts and fun design projects if you like that sort of stuff. So you can also follow me on Instagram. I post my daily drawings to my Instagram story and hopefully make some actual posts sometimes now and again. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I wish you the best in any shop endeavors you have this year. And yeah, keep making art, draw on your sketchbook, and I'll see you next week.